Good afternoon, everyone. Please confirm if the audio and video are clear to you. Can you please give me a confirmation? You can respond in the chat. Please confirm if the audio and video are clear. Okay, thanks for the confirmation, Renuka. So let us start with this lecture. This will be approximately 1 hour long demo session. The idea of this session is to give you an overview of the coaching program which you will be joining into, and to give you an idea how the classes will be going on, and also giving you an introduction to the program in which you're joining to. Before I start with the class, before I start with the demo session, let me give you a brief introduction to the exams for which you are preparing. I hope you have the brief idea already, but for additional to get 100% clarity before we enter into the syllabus, enter into the studying of the subject, let us try to get an understanding of these two exams. So NATA and JEE paper 2. These are the exams which you are preparing for. Firstly, let me give you a brief introduction for these exams. As far as NATA exam is considered, both NATA and JEE paper 2 are held twice a year. JEE paper 1 is held 4 times a year, but JEE paper 2 is held only 2 times a year. The notification is not yet out. Very soon you can expect the notification of JEE to come out, because actually JEE was scheduled to be held in the month of February, but due to COVID situation, it has been postponed. The date is not yet out, but the notification is expected very soon on the website of JEE paper 2 mains. So both these exams are held twice a year. That's a commonality. Twice a year. This also is held twice a year. Coaching program which you're joining into will be for both NATA and JEE, and the access for all the classes, all the lectures will be till the last attempt of NATA. Generally, NATA's last attempt will be in the month of June probably. So all these classes which you're doing, these will be available till all the resources, the study material, test series, the app, everything will be available for you till the exam, till the last exam, till the last NATA attempt. So that's the first thing. As far as the exams are considered, NATA exam has a total of 125 questions. Both are 3-hour exams. This is a 3-hour duration exam. In these 3 hours, you should answer 125 questions. These 125 questions will include 1-mark questions, 2-mark questions, and 3-mark questions. Pattern has been updated from last year. So I'm telling you about the new pattern of NATA exam. 125 questions will be for 3-hour duration. You will have 1-mark, 2-mark, and 3-mark questions. And I hope you can see from this, it is very clear that scoring well in the 3-mark is very important. This is the scoring area in NATA exam. So the type of questions in NATA exam include, you will have multiple choice questions, multiple select questions, preferential select questions, numerical answer type questions. These are the typology of questions which you have in NATA exam. You will get better understanding on all these types of exams when you do your classes later on, when we practice from your practice sheets, and when you do your test series, you will get 100% clarity on what are these patterns of questions. Let us leave that for some other day. Here, I will just give you a brief introduction. As far as JEE exam is considered, the pattern of JEE exam, this will also be for 3-hour duration. Achha, let me also tell you about the score. These 125 questions, the total score for which this exam NATA is held is 200 marks. Out of 200, 75 is the qualifying marks. The qualifying score is 75 marks. Now, if you get 75 marks, it doesn't mean you will get into a very good college. It just means that you have qualified the exam NATA and you can apply for counseling. But to get into a good college, you should target, and because you're taking coaching, you have to target 150 plus. All our students score above 120, 150 plus should be your target. That will give you an advantage over other students and will give you a admission into good college. So that is the target which you should target for. Obviously, it is absolutely possible. You have 6 months of time in your hand. If you use this time very wisely and do all the classes and the practice sheets and the test series, you can absolutely get 150 plus in the NATA exam. It is not at all difficult if you follow all the instructions being given to you. That's about NATA. Coming to JE paper 2. JE paper 2 also is a 3 hour duration exam. Now this will be having total of 82 questions. Excuse me. The marks division in JE paper 2 is you will be having mathematics. Mathematics will be having 25 questions, 25 into 4, that will be having 100 marks. Then you will be having architectural aptitude. Architectural aptitude, which includes visualization of objects and all other the core topics related to architecture. That will comprise of 50 questions, 50 into 4, 200 marks. And the last and final part is the sketching part, sketching and composition. Now that's a basic difference here. If you observe, there is no sketching in NATA exam. NATA is a completely computer-based test. It is an online exam. There is no physical sketching in this exam. This pattern has been changed from the year 2020. So there is no more sketching in NATA, but that doesn't mean you will not learn sketching. The concepts of testing, the concepts of sketching are still tested in the NATA exam even now. For example, in sketching, there are techniques of perspective, there are techniques of physiography, there are techniques of anthropometrics. All these concepts are tested in the exam in the form of picture-based questions. So you have to have a good understanding of sketching even for NATA exam. So all the classes will be the sketching classes. Smita ma'am will be taking your sketching and composition classes. She will teach you in a way that it will be useful for both NATA and JEE. You will be able to answer the questions in the NATA exam also. And all these previous NATA papers are available in the form of test in your test series. So you also get an idea what type of questions are actually asked in the exam, right? I'll come to the test series in a while. First, let me complete the introduction of this exam again. The sketching part in JEE paper 2 will be having 2 questions, 50 marks each. So the total weightage for this will be 100 marks. The sketching in JEE paper 2 exam will have 3 types of sketching. One, memory-based sketching, where you'll get questions like sketch your favorite freedom fighter, sketch your kindergarten teacher. So something from your memory you have to sketch. Second is situational sketching. They'll be giving you a situation and they'll ask you to sketch that. Sketch a playground which you're watching from a balcony. You're standing in a balcony and looking at a playground. Sketch that situation. Or you're standing in a bus stand. Sketch what you see. So that is situation-based sketching. And the third is composition-based sketching, like patterns. Like you have question last year's JEE exam, there was this question: create an interesting pattern using say something like circles for a kid's bedroom's curtain or kid's bed sheet, right? So you'll be having questions for composition. You have to compose something. So that's the composition. So sketching can have composition based, memory based, and situational based sketching. All the 3 types of sketching and composition will be taught to you. So don't worry. That's the scoring area in JEE. So if you see the scoring areas, what are those niche areas which we focus on in coaching and which you should focus in your preparation? In NATA exam, it will be targeting these 3 mark questions, because remaining 1 mark questions, pretty much simpler questions everyone can do. But what should be the difference between you and the other people? Because you are preparing by taking coaching, the difference comes into picture in the 3 mark questions. That's where you have to score well in NATA exam. In JEE, the scoring obviously is both of these. Now the maths in JEE is same as the maths of paper 1. So it is a bit tough. We do have classes for all those mathematics topics too. Don't worry. But these should be your target areas. Architecture aptitude, 200 marks. Sketching, 100 marks. These are pretty simple and scoring. So this is something which you should make a difference in the exam JEE paper 2. Now coming to the qualifying score, as such, there is nothing as qualifying score. But yeah, you have to target for the target score in this exam should be 250 plus. If you get 250 plus, you can get into the best colleges with JEE-2 like Jamia and also SPS. To get into that, you should target for 250 plus to be on safe side. You'll be having an option to get into the best colleges if you get 250 plus. So that's a brief on the exams which you're preparing for. Now let me also tell you a brief on the syllabus part before so that's a brief on the a brief introduction on the exams part. Both of these will be held twice a year, as I told you. Very soon, you are going to expect a notification on JE paper 2 very soon, before this month end. So probably the first attempt of JE paper 2 will be in the month of March. Actually, it is generally in the fifth month, but this year it is probably in the month of March. So the notification is expected very soon. So keep following the official portal. However, we also will inform you once the notification is out and the application is open. So that's about these exams. Let us try to get an understanding on the syllabus for these exams now. Understanding syllabus is the most important step, is the key step in any competitive exam, and especially in NATA and JEE, which are aptitude based exams. Here it becomes very important to get a clarity on the syllabus. Now the syllabus will include the core subject of architecture, basics of architecture, architectural aptitude. That's common in both NATA and also in JEE. This is for both the exams. Architectural aptitude will include the topics of basics of design, principles of design, elements of design. That's one area. The second area would be architectural vocabulary, and also building construction, building materials. I can make a note of it for you actually. We have divided the complete syllabus for NATA and JEE into 7 modules. Let me give you an idea on the structure of modules also. Module number 1 will be, and you will have books for each of these. I'll tell you the resources which you will also get. But first, let me explain you the structure. Module number 1 is basics of design, where you will be studying the concepts of principles of design. What are the various principles of what is color theory? You'll study all these concepts under this. Second concept is overview of world architecture. Overview of world architecture. Overview of world architecture is a topic where you study about buildings, about famous buildings, about history of architecture, about ancient civilizations like Egyptian pyramids, what are the constructions in Greek and Roman civilizations. You'll study all that in this overview. All these are tested in both the exams, NATA and JEE, both. So third topic is architectural vocabulary. Architectural vocab, which also includes the topics of building materials and construction. Building materials and construction is getting an idea on various building materials, various elements in construction. These basics are tested again both in NATA and JEE. These 3 modules, module number 1, 2, and 3, these 3 modules together can be called as architectural aptitude, which is both for NATA and JEE. Both these exams, it is important. So for each of these topics, you will be having classes. Or let me first complete the module structure, and then I'll tell you those resources which you will get. These are the first 3 modules which can be categorized as architectural aptitude. Module number 4 is visualization of objects. Visualization of objects. Now this is where, excuse me, this is where you study about various views. If you're having a 3D object, how to interpret it from various sides, various angles of it, how to count the surfaces, how to count the edges, how to count the number of lines. So unfolding, how to unfold a 3D object and what could be the outcome of it. So this requires a lot of practice, and this is very important from JEE point of view specifically. You do have these questions in NATA exam also, but it is important from JEE point of view, because the 50 questions which I told you in the second part of JEE, these 50 questions I told you, of those 50 questions, 50%, that is around 20 to 25 questions, are based on the concepts of visualization of objects. So that is really scoring for JEE exam. So you have to have special emphasis on this part before JEE exam. Now you have 4 attempts, right? 2 times JEE exam, 2 times NATA. So before each and every attempt, we will have a quick revision. We'll focus on that particular. Let's say, for example, now you're having in the month of March, you're having JEE exam. So before JEE exam, probably for 20 days, 25 days, we will focus specially on that exam. We'll focus on the core areas important for that exam, so that you are ready for the exam before you go to the attempt. So it's the same thing we do for NATA. So don't worry, once you join, all the required resources, all the required information will be provided. Just leave all that, all the tension onto us. You just have to attend the classes and have to make full 100% utilization of the resources which you are getting. That should be, you have to be sincere. We would be requiring 100% sincerity in the preparation. Only then both you and we would be successful. Your success obviously is our success too, right? So to get success in the exam, you have to be 100% sincere. Anyways, coming to module number 5, this is important from again JEE point of view to score the 100 marks. That is sketching and composition. Sketching and composition. So this again is for both JEE and NATA exam. In NATA exam, you don't have physical sketching, but you do have questions testing the concepts of testing and sketching and composition. So that's about module number 5. Coming to module number 6, mental ability and reasoning. Mental ability and reasoning, which includes concepts of sequences, patterns, or say identifying some puzzle-based questions. All these, or mirror images, water images, all these are important, very important in NATA exam. But the concepts are also included in JEE exam, but it is important from, so you see, each module there is a different approach for NATA and JEE. So we'll focus on both. And before that particular exam, we'll focus on the intricacies of that particular exam, right? So this is important for NATA from NATA point of view. 7th is mathematics. Now, as far as maths is considered, the approach for NATA and JEE should be different. Maths in NATA exam is of low, you say not all topics are important in NATA, specifically topics like geometry, profit loss, such simpler concepts are tested in NATA under mathematics. So that's the mathematics for NATA. As far as mathematics for JEE paper 2 is considered, this is of higher level. Right? So both the maths will be covered. Generally, the mathematics of NATA will be done in the live online class, like we do all other subjects. But for JEE, you will be having recorded class. You will be given lecture each day. You have to watch that lecture. Then you'll be having a discussion session on the maths of that. You'll be having practice session on that. So that's how we go about mathematics part. But yeah, all the topics will be covered even for mathematics part. Other than that, under module number 8, which is specifically only to NATA, you have verbal ability, that is English. We do have classes conducted for English also, but English is not in JEE. This is only for NATA exam. English is only for NATA exam. Some basics of physics are also tested sometimes in NATA exam. Physics, only 5 questions out of 125 questions. Only 5 questions generally are asked on physics. Physics is not a part in JEE exam. So that's about the syllabus. I hope you have an overview of the syllabus now. Now you would be having, so you see there are total of eight modules. For each of these modules, now let me tell you about the structure which you will follow, how to prepare for the exam. So first and foremost will be live online classes. What is live online class? Like how I'm teaching you right now. Similarly, the teacher for that particular subject will be coming live and teaching you in the class. The classes will be for around 3-hour duration. The schedule will be shared to you in detail. Generally before the exam, like in the March you're having exams. So in the month of Feb, you will be having a lot of classes in the weekdays also. But otherwise, we generally will have classes in the weekends, and classes will be recorded as well. So these live online class, for example, due to some personal reason, you missed some class. Someday you couldn't attend the live class. Do not worry, the live class will also be available as a recorded backup. Class will be recorded as a backup for you, which you can revise. Other after that, if you have attended also and you want to revise the concept, you can rewatch the recorded lecture. So the recorded class of each and every lecture will be available to you on the mobile app. on the KP Classes mobile. Everything will be available on the KP Classes mobile app. You can download KP Classes Architecture mobile app. I hope you have already downloaded. Ensure that you have this logo. This should be the icon for the KP Classes app available on Play Store. You can download it, log on to it. I'll tell you about the app towards the end of the class, at the end of this session. However, the recorded backup of the lecture will be available on the KP Classes app. That's about the live online class. Number 2, once you're done with the live online class, you would be given with resources. That is, you would be having a homework sheet. That particular class, you have to practice those questions and submit on the app itself. The homework sheet will be uploaded on the app. Other than that, you will be having homework sheet or practice sheet will be given. Sometimes exercise session will be conducted. Exercise will be given, not in all subjects. Like in mental ability, you don't have exercises, but generally in history of architecture, especially for NATA exam, we'll be giving you some exercises like prepare a presentation on some historic building. You'll be given all the guidance required, but yeah, you will have to do those exercises and submit on the app itself. The exercise session will be conducted separately to discuss that exercise. That's number 3. So this is where you're practicing. Other than this, after the class, you can also study from the book for each and every module. Module 1, 2, 3, each module will have a book, that is the study material book. You have to go through the study material book also. So this is your self-study part. This is the self-study part. You have to do the homework, do the practice sheet, do the exercise, go through the study material after the live online class for each and every subject. Now, once these 4th step is done, then you will be having a test. Online test will be conducted. Online test for that particular subject. So subject-wise tests are conducted. Subject-wise tests are available in the test series itself. So you will be given a test series, which also is accessible on the app itself. You can also access it on the website of KP Classes, and you will do the practice test of that particular subject. So once you're done with this subject, then you can consider that the subject is done, and frequently you will be having doubt sessions too. If you're having any doubts in the doubt session of that particular subject, your doubts will be clarified. So this approach, all these 5 steps should be done for each and every subject. So by the end of the preparation, by the end of the program, coaching program, you have to be done with these 5 steps for each and every module. So you have all the resources are available, tests, books for each and every module. Make 100% utilization of it and be sincere in your work. Your success is guaranteed if you do that, right? So that's about a brief introduction. So let us start with today's demo session. I took enough of your time to give you an introduction to the exams and introduction to the coaching program, how we are going about it. Let me take for the next 25 minutes or so, or half an hour or so, let us have a small demo session. I will be teaching you as far as my classes are considered. So we have a team of, you'll be taught by a team of 2 to 5 different teachers. I will be teaching you a few subjects like history of architecture, architectural vocabulary, building materials and construction. I myself am an architect from SPA, and I have done my master's also in IIT Delhi in construction management. So I'm in this field of tutoring students for competitive exams for the last 5 years, and I'll be teaching you these 4 subjects of architecture and architectural aptitude. You have all of faculties from SPS and IIT. So Saurabh sir from IIT Kharagpur, he'll be teaching you visualization of objects and also the parts of famous buildings, important buildings and all. You have Smita ma'am, who's a fine arts teacher, who will be teaching you sketching and composition. And you have Victor sir, who will be teaching you mental ability and reasoning part. And you have separate faculty for mathematics as well, and a separate faculty for English. So for each and every subject, you have corresponding teachers who will also respond all the doubts on the app itself. It is very important that you download the app and log onto the app. Meanwhile, during the course of this lecture, download, if you have not yet downloaded, download the app, log into it, and be ready. At the end of the class, I will get you enrolled into a sample batch, so that you have a look at all the things. How are all these things available on the app? कैसे access करना है, ये भी आपको समझ आ जाएगा. So download and log in and be ready by the end of the class, right? I hope no one has a doubt as far as the introduction part is considered. Syllabus के बारे में या exams के बारे में. Feel free to ask if you have any doubts. You can raise your hand. I'll unmute you. Otherwise, you can type into the chat box also. Feel free to do that. As far as this demo session is considered, I'll be teaching you for the next half an hour on the topic of architectural terminology. Now, if you look into this, architectural terminology falls into the third module, module number 3, architectural vocabulary. So it is a part of that. So under architectural terminology, what is basically tested? What type of questions do you expect in the exams? Both in NATA and JEE, you have picture-based identifying based questions. So for example, they may show you some pictures. In NATA exam, generally you get picture-based questions. They may give you a picture, for example, say you're having a column, some design, which are classical order columns of this design. So you would be given some column design, column figures, and then they'll mark you something. What is this? What is this called as? You have to know the name, architectural terminology. What are the various terms used? What is a column? What are the various parts of a column? So you have to know all these details under architectural terminology to score marks in both NATA and JEE. So that's the point which we focus on in the architectural terminology. In this, we'll be studying various basics of building construction, basics of architecture, and various terms related to architecture. That is what we basically focus on here. Now, when we study about architecture, now like after 1 year, you all will be joining into architecture colleges. You yourself will be into the course of PR and will be preparing to get into the field of architecture, right? So when you become architects or when you are into an architecture college, what is it that you basically do? Can anyone give me an answer? What do you think architects do? I'll give you an option to unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself by clicking the space bar on your device, right? Give me an answer. What do you think architects do? Anyone? Please give me an answer.
Home interior.
Interior. Who was that? Adila, was that you? Anyone else? Anyone else? In other than interior, what do architects do, you think?
Design.
Your audio is not clear. I think you said design of buildings, right? That's absolutely correct. Architects basically design spaces, design various buildings. Not only Adila has typed an answer, absolutely correct. Design and construction according to the needs and comforts of people, absolutely correct. Designing various spaces. Now, when you design something, it is not only that you learn how to design, it is also very important. The work of an architect basically, like if you have a software engineer develops various software tools and they use some computer, they use a laptop, do some coding that everyone knows, right? They use some computer language to write the codes. How do architects show their work? How do architects show their designs? They show the designs using various drawings, right? We use plans. Get used to it. When you're into an architecture college, these will be the basic terms which you will hear on daily basis. Plan, section, elevation. These are the basic things which you have to show. Plan, section, elevation. What are all these? All these are basically drawings. So when architects design buildings, design spaces, those designs are submitted to a client or to a professor if you're in a college in the form of drawings, which are basically plan, section, and elevation. So the basic terms which you people who are entering into the field of architecture need to know is what are the tools you're using, what are the ways in which you will submit your designs. That's the basic understanding. So let us first start with the terms associated with the drawings which architects do, right? So so be it any design, be it the design of a hospital, of a large scale building, a museum or a mall, or be a small design like a residential building, kuch bhi design ho, whatever design it is, You have to show your designs by using these drawings. So the basic terms which you need to know with respect to drawings in architecture are plan. Firstly, what is plan? Plan is basically the top view of something, top view of a space. Plan can be described as excuse me. Plan can be described as top view of objects, top view of objects or for buildings. That's known as plans. Now, plans are of two types again. You have site plan, you have floor plan. What is the difference? You have these two pictures here. The left one is a site plan. The one on the right, that's a floor plan. What's the difference? When architects design or draw a site plan, the elements which are basically highlighted in a site plan are the position of the building block. Site matlab, the plot on which the building is constructed. So for example, there is some building over here. There are building blocks, how all these blocks are interconnected, where is the main entry into the building plot, what are the access pathways. So all these are shown on a site plan. Site plan is basically an overview of the complete site, which will show you the position of buildings, position of building blocks. Now you can expect theory questions in exams, both NATA and JEE. You can expect questions like which of the following app option is not shown in a site plan or not depicted in a site plan. You have to know what is depicted in a site plan. In a site plan, architects show position of building blocks. That is the first primary one. Other than that, pathways, pathways or roads on the site, the access pathways. Other than that, very important is entry point of the site. You can see in this picture, this is an entry point, this is an entry point, this is an entry point. Entry points and how to access the buildings, that is very important. Other than that, you can also see the parking spaces here, design of parking. When parking lots are designed by architects, what are the how many cars are being served in the parking area, all these calculations are also done. Design is not simple, it's not about beauty, it also is about calculation, it also is about finding out the numbers, numbers, working with areas, right? You cannot randomly throw a space and say park your cars over here. You have to show how many cars are being parked, how the cars will enter into the parking area, right? So designing parking area, all these are shown over here in the site plan. Position of buildings, pathways, entry points, and parking. Other than that, landscaping. Can anyone tell me what is landscaping? What is landscape architecture? Any idea?
Development of the plan. The
Designing the
development.
gardens, right? Correct. Landscape architecture is mainly designing what type of plants you're using, right? It's a separate specialization. People do their masters in landscape architecture after BArch. Landscape architecture is basically focusing on the design of the recreational spaces in the site, on the site. So all these are depicted on a site plan in a given design of a space or a building of a but of any facility. Could be a health facility like a hospital, could be a residential facility like a residence, normal apartment building, could be anything, could be of various scales. Now coming to floor plan. Floor plan basically focuses on the design of the interior of the building. Floor plan shows the interior of the building, of a building, interior space of a building. And what is basically focused on in floor plan? What are the things which are basically shown here? Mainly the circulation within the building. Circulation within the building, matlab, once you enter into the entrance, main entrance, how is the hall? How to go and enter into the bedroom? How to enter into the kitchen? How is the kitchen connected to the dining? Obviously, kitchen is where people cook. Dining area is where people sit and eat. So there should be a clear connection between the dining area and the kitchen. So what is the connection? What is the circulation? Is there enough space for circulation? So that is shown in floor plan. Other than that, furniture layout. Furniture layout. So focusing on the detail inside the building, interior design. How should be the, so this is the position of the bed. Beside the bed, yeah, there is a balcony and a window. And how is the water closet located in a bathroom, in a washroom? And how is the dining area located? How is the kitchen platform, kitchen slab? How is it designed? So that is furniture layout. So floor plan focuses at a minor level, the interior detailing of the space. Now, can you show a furniture layout in the site plan? Absolutely no. Site plan focuses only on position of the building block. You can just see the terrace of the building. You can just see the outline of the building. You cannot see where the bed is located in the site plan, right? So it's just the variation in scale. But what is the commonality in both the site plan and floor plan? Both are plans, both are top views, right? You will get a better idea on how to interpret top views when you do the classes for visualization of 3D objects. You have separate classes for that, right? I told you the basic three elements which are submitted as drawings of plan, section, and elevation. We have understood about plans and what are the things depicted in plans. Let us now get an understanding on the elevation and section also. First, let us try to understand what is elevation. Elevation by definition is either front, rear, or side view. Top view is called as plan. Other than top, you have front view, side view, and rear view, back view. These back, front, and side views are called as elevations. Front, side, or rear view. That is back view of buildings is known as elevation. Front, side, or rear view of buildings is known as elevation. Now, again, elevation is of two types. You can have exterior elevation. Exterior elevation, like what you see in the first picture, that is an exterior elevation. Elevation of outside the building, right? Exterior is outside the building. What is depicted in an exterior elevation? The exterior design and finish. What type of paint are you using? What type of cladding is being used? What type of like in this picture you see these louvers. So these are known as louvers in architecture. What type of louvers are used in the space? All these are depicted in an exterior elevation, the exterior finish of the building. Interior elevation focuses on the interior finish so this is an interior elevation. How the wall is painted, what color is it, what should be the position of windows on the wall. All these are depicted in an interior elevation. Other than interior and exterior elevation, you should also know the term which is called as facade. This is also a very important term in architectural terminology. What is facade of a building? Facade is basically the front elevation of a building. Facade of a building. Facade of a building is basically the front elevation. You cannot call the side elevation as facade. Facade is basically the face of the building in simple terms. Facade is the front elevation of a building. Now, for example, you look at this picture. This is the facade of a building. Now, when you look at the facade of a building, you get an overview of the complete design of the building. There are two main things which will decide the facade of a building. Now, you can ask me, sir, how to know the difference between front and side of a building? Two main things which will define the front of a building, the facade of a building are facade will be having an access to a frontal street or when you design a building or any building, not only residential, any category of building, you should have some access road to it to enter into the plot. So you always will have a frontal street. Generally, the access from the frontal street that will give you to the facade of a building. So at the entrance of a building, like you see here, this is the main entrance you can see, right? So that is facade of a building. So facade is defined by the frontal street of the plot and also is defined by the main entrance to the building. Main entrance or the entry point. These are the two main characteristics of facade. So how do you identify facade? The part of a building where you have the main entrance, the part of the building which is facing the main street, that is called as facade of a building. Excuse me. You can see in this picture, this is the main entrance of a building you see here, right? There can be an additional entrance too, but yeah, these are the main entry points. You see the main entry points which are located on the facade of the building. Now, this is a picture showing the facade of a building. But in NATA exam, just to give you an idea on multiple select questions, the 3-mark questions which I told you, 3-mark questions in NATA exam, you can expect questions like this. They will be giving you an image and ask you to identify the features which are visible in it. Like if you look into this particular picture, obviously we are still in the demo class. You have not yet completed architectural terminology, but by the time you have completed building construction architectural terminology, you yourself will be able to identify at least 10 features in this facade of a building. Like each of it will have a name. For example, if you look into the roof, there is a profile which you see over here, right? It is, and this is a different profile. Each of these profiles will have a name, and these are tested in NATA exam. They'll be giving you 10 options. The multiple select questions in NATA exams, they'll be giving you 10 options. Of these 10 options, only 4 will be correct. Around 10, 8 to 10 options will be given, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on. Of those 10, only 4 options will be correct, and you have to select the 4 correct options. Now, there are types of roofs which we will study in architectural terminology later on, but each of these, like this roof is called as a gambrel roof. This is called as gambrel roof. This is called as a gable roof. So they will give you 4 or 5 types of roofs: gable roof, hip roof, gambrel roof, mansard roof. Which type of roof can you see in this picture? You should be able to identify, okay, this is gambrel roof and this is gable roof. I know architectural terminology, so I'm able to identify. You also, after the class, after learning architectural terminology, you yourself will also be able to identify these features. And that is how exam questions are asked in the NATA exam. Not only roof, you see, this is known as an arch. I hope arch everyone knows. Arch everyone knows, right? So you see arch, you can have an option as arch also. There was a question in NATA exam last year where there was a picture and the option was colonnade. Colonnade is basically series of columns. We'll study under architectural terminology. So understanding architectural terminology is important to identify the elements in a given picture, which is very important in the 3-mark questions of NATA exam, right? So that's the context. So that is just to give you a perspective, why are we studying architectural terminology? So that's about facade. Coming to the last important picture, that is section. Now, section is basically a cut elevation. Elevation, but after cutting the building. It is cut view of a building. Cut view of a building. Section basically is used to show the position of walls, position of interior walls, position of staircase in a building, what are the staircase, how the position of lifts and elevators, escalators in building, position of the basement parking, access to it, all these, the interior things which are not visible. Obviously, you cannot see basement from outside. When I draw the elevation of facade of a building, can you see what is in the basement? Absolutely no. So to see what is the position of the basement, what is the height of the space, mainly section is used to show the heights. What is the height of the basement? What is the height of the secondary basement? What is the height of the first floor? Understanding heights, understanding how many floors are you having. All these are visible in the section. Section is the cut view of a building. And finally, you have view. View is basically a 3D picture of a building. 3D picture of a building. In olden days, architects used to sketch with hand. Nowadays, you have software. There are lots of 3D software. Basic ones will include SketchUp. SketchUp is a very simple software. Even you can do draw it. You can build up, create mass in buildings using SketchUp software. It's a very simple software. So you have software tools right now. So view is based like this is a computer generated 3D, right? 3D picture is known as view of a building. Now, view will include the point, like in initial days when the architects used to sketch the views, techniques like perspective were used. 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point perspective. You'll study about perspective in the classes for sketching and composition. So this is a basic understanding on the medium of representation of designs. Once you design something, you represent your designs using all these: plans, section, elevation, and view. That's a brief on the architectural tools, that is drawings. Now coming to the types of construction. Construction is not only about buildings. There are you can broadly categorize building construction, or you can broadly categorize construction into 3 areas. Building construction, which is basically construction of spaces which normal people will be using. will include hospital buildings, any space which is used by people. The spaces used by people is building construction. Industrial construction is designed for spaces of industrial scale, which includes factories and other large scale production facilities, not used for people to live or people to use the space. It is to manufacture something. That is industrial construction. And finally, you also have infrastructure construction. What is infrastructure? Design of bridges, design of roadways, design of railways, design of pipelines, dams, sewage facilities. All these are called as infrastructure. Now, you may ask me, how are architects relevant in infrastructure? Absolutely, they are. In fact, after BR, there is a specialization in masters called as infrastructure design and management, which is in IIT Kharagpur. So infrastructure design also is a part in architecture. So these are the three broad areas in construction: building construction, industrial construction, and infrastructure construction. However, at NATA level, at this entry level as architecture students, we will be focusing only on the terminology of building construction, right? That is sufficient at NATA and JEE level. So let us start with a basic one. The most basic thing before entering into the detailed terminology is to know what are the various parts of a building. So, parts of a building are broadly categorized into two parts. Parts of a building are categorized into two groups. You have civil works and you have services. Civil works and services. What is the basic difference? Civil works basically give the structure to the space, the walls, the slab, the columns. All these are known as civil works. Services on the other. Now, civil works are further categorized into two types. Civil works are categorized into structural parts and non-structural parts. Civil works are categorized into structural and non-structural parts. Now, what is the difference? Civil works, I told you, are categorized into structural parts and non-structural parts. You can expect questions under architectural terminology in the exams where they will give you four options and ask to identify the structural element from the following. So you should know what is structural element. Structural element in architecture is basically something that will carry load. Structural element in construction is something that will carry load. What are the examples for structural elements? Slabs, columns, pillars, or say beams. You know what are beams? The horizontal elements. All these are the structural elements. They carry load in them. Walls also sometimes. Walls also carry load in them. So all these are the structural elements. They are used to carry loads. Now, what is non-structural then? Non-structural elements are those civil elements which do not carry load. Which do not carry load. No load transfers through these non-structural members. No load transfers through these non-structural members. What are the examples for this then? Doors, windows, right? Say wall paint. Wall paint also is a civil work. Plastering on the wall, right? Wall paint. Is there any load that will go through plastering? Is there any load that will go through the door, through the window? No, these are non-structural elements. So civil works are classified in architecture into structural and non-structural. What are civil works? Civil works are those which give building the form. Building का shape कहाँ से आता है? The building's form is derived by civil works. Structural and non-structural elements together. Now coming to services, what are services then? Services are provided in buildings for the ease of the users, for the benefit of the users. Services are the additional facilities for the benefit of users. Important notes will be available in the study material. Study material will be available to you on the app. This particular lecture, the PDF, whatever presentation we are using, whatever I'm writing, all this also will be available, will be uploaded on the app after the class. But you also should maintain your own running notes. Maintaining your own notes is very important for competitive exams. because you have to revise that before going to the actual exam. You have to revise your notes. So prepare your notes in each and every class. Facilities for the benefit of users. What are the examples for services then? What are those facilities which are given for benefit of users? Electricity, that is also designed by architects. Now you cannot just design a building and think your work is done. You should design the electric layout of it. You should design the plumbing layout, water supply layout. All these are also designed by architects. So electricity lines, water supply, sewerage, plumbing, all these are known as services in building construction. So building parts include civil parts which give form and also services. Now you can get questions in exam where there are a lot of, like last year there was this question, last year, like before 2 years, there was this question in JEE where they asked what is acoustics in architecture. Now you have to know what is acoustics. Acoustics are also designed by architects. We'll study all these terms at the end. You will get an idea on all these things. But initially, at least you have to know the brief. You have to get a brief idea. What are services? Services in building are basically water supply, electricity, plumbing, sewage. All these are called as services. Civil works, structural and non-structural, two types. That's a brief on the parts of a building. Now let us try to further get an idea. So this will be the last point. We are almost done with the 1 hour stipulated time for this demo session. Before I end the session, I will discuss one more detail on parts of the building. So let me give you an overview on the parts of a building. If you look into a typical building, there are two parts. A building can be divided into two portions. Here there is some foundation like this. Right? So a typical building is composed of two portions. Portion which is above, this is a very important symbol. You can see, you can get questions on symbols also. Someone may ask you what does this symbol represent in architecture? This is a symbol for ground level. Ground level is represented by this symbol. Now, the portion of the building which is above ground level, generally we write it as GL with that symbol. The portion of the building which is above ground level is known as superstructure. This is known as superstructure. What is superstructure of a building? The part of the building which is above ground level. That is called a superstructure. The part of a building is not only what you see on top. There is also something below the ground. So the portion of the building which is below the ground level is known as substructure. So a building's overall mass can be divided into superstructure above ground level, substructure below the ground level. Now, what is substructure basically? So you can make a note. What is superstructure? Part of a building above the ground level, part of the building above the ground level, or portion of a building which is above the ground level is superstructure, and the portion or part of a building which is below the ground level is known as substructure. Now coming to this substructure, what is basically below the building? It is known as foundation. Sometimes you may have a basement level also. Basement is generally used for parking, so you can have a basement, but below that basement you will be having foundation. What is the function of foundation in a building? It is basically like the foot of a building. How is the building standing? It is standing because of its foundation. How does a tree stand? Like roots, using the roots. Similarly, foundation of a building is the root system of a building. It basically it transfers the load of the building, into the earth. So the function of foundation, it transfers the weight of the building, weight of a building into earth. The weight of the building is transferred into the earth. Now, design of foundation is also a very important area. Now, how is the foundation designed? There are four types of foundation. There are four types of foundation. We'll study about types of foundation later on. It's not, we don't have time as of now to discuss the types. I will discuss the types of foundation moving ahead in the same lecture of architectural terminology. But there are four types of foundation. How does an architect select which foundation to use? Two important criteria. Criteria number one, which will be used or which is studied to know which type of foundation is suitable is the type of soil condition, type of soil or earth condition. What type of earth? Is it black bottom soil? Okay, if it is black bottom soil, then use pile foundation. Or what is it? Rocky soil? Okay, if it is rock soil, rock type of soil, then use only a shallow foundation. So depending on the type of earth or type of soil, you select the foundation. Second one is depending on the load of the building, depending on the weight or load of a building. Obviously, the foundation in your house and the foundation in Burj Khalifa cannot be the same, right? Both are different, depends on the load of the building, depends on type of the building. So the foundation is designed based on these parameters. So that's a basic idea on the substructure. Now coming to the superstructure above the ground level. Now above the ground level is generally composed of the structural and non-structural elements. So let us try to get an understanding on the structural parts. Structural parts actually depend on the type of what type of construction is it. Generally, nowadays, most of the buildings which we come across are framed construction or framed structures. Let me tell you about framed structures under structural parts. Generally, buildings nowadays are designed as framed structures. What are framed structures? In framed structures, the main structural elements are walls are not structural elements. If you're having columns and beams in your building, your walls are non-structural members. You can break your wall, the building will not fall. Why? Because the load is mainly transferred through the columns, not the walls. So framed structures are basically those structures where walls do not carry load. Walls do not carry any load of the building. When walls do not carry any load of the building, though buildings are known as framed structures. Why? Then if walls are not carrying the load, which members are carrying the load in such buildings? Then it is mainly the slabs. The load of the slabs is first transferred into beams. The load of the beams is then transferred into columns. That's the path of the load transfer. Load transfers from slab to the beams, from beams to the columns, and from columns it goes to the foundation. That's how generally frame structures are designed. Frame structures in superstructure is a design of slabs, beams, and columns. Walls are non-structural. Now let me end the demo session. We are almost at 3:30. So this is a brief idea. This is our classes also will be going on for all the topics. Now let me not leave suddenly, but let me tell you something over here in this architectural terminology. Now, moving ahead, you will study about all the terms like I just told you what a slab beam. So even within slab, there are a lot of intricacies. You should know what is the difference between slab, ceiling, flooring. What are all these terms? What is floor? What is ceiling? What is slab? What is roof? फर्क क्या है slab और roof में? You have to know all these things. All these are tested in NATA and JEE exam. So we'll look into all those intricacies in the due course of the architectural terminology class. So that's about this particular demo session. If you can, I hope everyone of you has downloaded the app. So if you can give me a moment, I'll get you enrolled into some batch so that you can have a look at the app also. Has everyone downloaded the KP Classes app? Please confirm.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just give me 1 minute. Hold on for a minute. I'll see if we can add you into some batch so that you can also have a look at all the details in. Just wait for 1 minute. Most of you have been added into a batch, but Renuka, can you tell me which name did you use while logging it? Renuka Ulhe. Because we are unable to get details of you on the app. Renu, okay. Just give me a moment. We'll check. Okay, I think you can open your KP classes app. Most of you have logged into it. We have added you into a batch by name history. Once you open the KP classes app, knowledge point, इस तरीके से होगा जो. Once you log on to it, you find the details at the bottom, home, batches and all. So open batches and you will be added into a batch by name History of Architecture India. Right? That's a sample batch which you have added into. After each and every class, you will be having a batch of it and you'll be added into it. So all the details will be available. Just open the sample batch which you have, History of Architecture India. If you press that batch, on the top, you have the details like overview, assignments, tests. On the top, on the heading, you have History of Architecture. Below that, you have the details tabs like overview tab. Look into the second tab, that is assignments. If you click on assignments, you will be having assignments over there. You see exercise 1, exercise 2, history of architecture India assignment. All these assignments are available in that particular batch. So these are assignments basically which you get after the class. These are homeworks basically. Then you have tests. Under the test, you have an online test. After studying everything, you can give the test of that particular subject. Right? That's the test tab. Below the test tab, you have videos tab. Right? Under that videos tab, you will be having the videos of that particular subject. It will take some time to load probably, but once it is loaded, you can check all the videos, all the recorded classes will be available to you over there. After the class, the recorded backup till the exam. All these recorded videos will be available till the date of the exam for you, right? And finally, you have study material tab also. Under study material tab, you will be having the book of that particular batch, of that particular subject, the study material book. So study material, homework sheets, online tests, and also recorded backup of the class. All the 4 things will be available for each and every subject in the mobile application, KP Classes mobile app only, and all these things will be available till the date of the exam, till the date of the last exam, last NATA attempt, right? So I hope you have understood the details of exam, details of coaching, details of how we go about the coaching program, and a brief idea on how we teach you the subjects, right? Anything if you want to ask, you can ask me. Other than that, from my end, that's the end of the session. If anyone has a doubt, feel free to ask. Do you have something to ask with respect to the coaching? I hope no. Okay. So you all must be having the contact of our office phone number. Get in touch with us for the further details on the enrollment and schedule, how your classes will start and from when will you, what schedule will be going on. All these details, you can contact us on the office phone and get in touch with us. Thank you for attending this demo session. I hope to meet you all in the classes very soon. Thank you. Bye, everyone.